Hi, and welcome to Life Addictions, the Recovery Show. My name is John Lausch, and I am a certified recovery specialist. This recovery show is brought to you to help you, your viewers, look at addiction, life addictions, whether it's drugs or alcohol, sex and love, criminal addiction, even gambling addiction, to see it in a new light, to see it from the addiction point of view, and more importantly, to see it from the recovery point of view. Today I have a very special guest. We've had a long line of incredible guests. Today is one of those guests, Charles Bradford. Charles, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Charles Bradford. I'm from Newark, New Jersey, and I've been in Florida 11 years. 11 years, and I came down here as a result of drugs and alcohol. And it was the best thing I ever did, actually.
You know, Charles is one of the true angels. If you're in recovery, if you've got a family member, if you got a day clean, if you got a year clean, this guy is one of the true angels walking the earth. He'll take you by the hand, he'll pick you up, he'll take you around, he'll show you how to stay clean and sober. Charles, is it 11 years?
Yes, this month, the 23rd.
11 years. He's got a great, I've heard Charles speak so many times, and he touches my heart. He'll touch you, he'll move you, he'll motivate you. You know, he'll help keep you clean and sober. Tell us some more, Charles. You've got a really fascinating history.
Yeah, well, basically, I came down here when I was 48. And my life was at an all-time low. I finally realized I had screwed it up. And I really didn't know how I was going to get it back together. But there's some people in Jersey, especially I was having a hard time staying sober. So they sent me down here, And when I got off the bus, only thing that I knew for sure, is that drugs and alcohol I couldn't use. So I stuck with that. And here it is now, it's 11 years later, man, and I couldn't even... If they had told me to write a scenario up of what my life would be like 11 years from when I first came out, I couldn't even touch on it. I couldn't even came close to it. I love to tell people how I wake up in the morning, because I wake up in the morning with enthusiasm, And I got this thirst for life that's beyond anything that I ever even dreamed of. I always thought that in order for me to be happy, to say that I was truly happy, I had to have a BMW, a pocket full of money, and Janet Jackson.
Yeah, right.
That could really make me happy.
That's the triple threat there. I like that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always work that way. I mean, a lot of you viewers are out there, and you've got a lot of material possessions, and a lot of us aren't happy. Charles, you're happy.
Oh yes, emphatically.
So you wake up with a zest for life.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. I wake up every morning at 4 o'clock, it's like a ritual. I say my prayers. Shave, shower, and shave. Get ready to go to the gym, work out. After I go to the gym and work out, I go to the treatment center. Pick up guys right in my truck. And take them to meetings for 7 a.m. meetings, right? And I go to the 7 a.m. meeting at least 6 days a week, right? But more than that, right? I go to like 3 or 4 meetings every day. And, I know that's a lot of people, right? I think a lot of people get mad at me because every time they look around, they see me at a meeting.
You're very ubiquitous. You're there.
I'm always at a meeting. And I'm always raising my hand and I share. And there's a reason why I share, because I found that when I talk, right, when I share and I'm open and I'm honest about stuff, man, I get a lot of relief in my life, man. I find out and get to understanding things a lot better. But most importantly, what I realized, right, is that, it keeps me sober.
Yeah.
One day at a time, and it keeps me right in the mode of doing everything I'm supposed to do. So I believe in, and I believe in, I always tell my sponsees, right, raise your hand and share.
Mm-hmm.
And I tell them, I don't even care if you lie, because you can't even lie perfectly. At some point or another, you're going to open your mouth and you're going to tell the truth,
yeah.
Because that's what happened to me.
Charles, one of the main reasons you're on the show is because I've known you personally, and I've seen you help literally thousands of men. You help guide them, you help nurture them. You pick them up, you take them shopping. You're really one of those guys where the rubber meets the road to recovery. And if you're a young man and you're looking for some guidance, Charles got some real no-nonsense answers to help keep you clean and sober. Basically drugs and alcohol, but Charles, you've run the gamut of addictions, whether it's criminal, sex and love. Tell us a little bit about that.
I always tell people, I was telling them about my 11 years in here, and everybody else look at 11 years and they say, ooh, that's great, fantastic.
It's a long time, 11 years clean and sober.
Yeah, but like, that ain't how I see it, right? I look at it, right? I say that's 11 years. I haven't been to jail. The police ain't been looking for me. Nobody's trying to shoot me. I ain't got to worry about what lie I done told, who, and my life is just great. And that's the most important thing for me, right? I found out something too, right? Because I used to always classify myself as a hustler. I make all this money.
Yeah.
And I used to ride up and down A1A, and I look at the guy that got his house on the beach and his yacht over here, and I thought, damn, like that. Then one day I thought about, well, how much money it costs to turn the keys on that yacht, And I thought about it for a minute, and I said, okay, Charles, go get a job. Go get yourself a job, buddy.
Right.
And you know what, right? I've been all right with it ever since. I came down here where I always like to tell people I was a thief, a thug,
Yeah.
And I did all this criminal stuff, right, all my life, And now today, I don't do it. Today I'm a compliment, I'm an asset to people. And it's all because of me coming down here and becoming willing and open-minded. I got to helping people, man, really just because I ain't have that. My sponsor told me that was what I was supposed to do, and I used to think that I had to get something out of the deal.
Yeah.
But I got to helping people, man, and what I found out, right, is I got something out of it that I never expected, I got something in here.
Yeah.
And I got a love and a tolerance for people, man, that's beyond anything that I ever dreamed of. And I was one of them guys, man, I had a serious, if you ever really sat down and looked at my criminal record, and look at my record and they say, okay, you look at my criminal record and you say, okay, so what he been doing in the last 11 years? I said, well, I don't know. So okay, well just leave him alone.
Right, yeah.
Leave him alone. He doing something right,
Charles, you mentioned you were 48. Basically most of your adult life has been involved in addictions.
Yeah.
Whether it was criminal, drugs and alcohol, or really all of them, mixed together.
Yeah.
And you really did a 180. You turned it around, and I've seen you interact with people from all walks of life down here. From young men to people that own some of those yachts, and I've seen you interact beautifully with them, and they really have a strong liking for you. It's just amazing how you've really transitioned. You really are one of the angels down here in the recovery community, and I don't say that lightly. So tell us a little more.
Well, really, this is what the real deal is, right? I really came from like a really loving and real religious family, But I never believed in God, but I couldn't tell them that. They wasn't hearing that. My family wasn't hearing that,
Right.
But my uncle was a minister. My family right now. My sisters and them, they still in my uncle's church. They still a part of the choir and all that stuff. And me. And like I said before, I could never tell none of them that I didn't believe in God, but I didn't. Because like I got molested when I was a kid, you understand, and then he took my mother away from me, so I was like her only child. What? God responsible for this here? So I had this resentment against God. And anyway, right, but my uncle was a minister, and my uncle told me when I was very young, that God was always the last thing in a man's life. And God was the last thing in my life. I remember on that day, when that last day I came off that run, I said, oh my God, I'm an alcoholic. I got to go to the meetings. And it's been like, I thought that was the worst day of my life, but it turned out to be the best day of my life.
So you attribute a lot of your success in recovery in your new life to meetings, to the 12-step program?
Yeah, and all of it.
All of it. Okay.
Listen, this is like I'm saying, this is like, I done come from one side of the track to the other. And,
so you're a true success story as far as the 12, because there's a lot of controversy, the 5% success rate, all that stuff. And I always say it doesn't work if you don't work it.
This is what I do. I don't get into the debating thing. And I hear people say, you don't do this here, you don't do that. And I don't, if you want to believe that, all well and good, But what I do is, right, I don't drink, I don't drug.
That's the bottom line, right?
And I allow you to think whatever it is that you want. The thing is, right, is that I'm happy, man.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that you do or you say you don't do, what I'm doing right now works for me. I got a sponsor, I call that sponsor, I work the steps, and I help the sick and suffering. Those are the things that work for me, and all that other stuff, man, if you got some problem with it, that's all well and good for you.
Right.
But like, the only thing that I'm responsible for is me. And that's what I learned. That's the biggest thing that I learned in this program, is I realized, right, that I was childish and I was grandiose. They say you that in the book, but like, a lot of people don't really believe it. But like, I was doing stuff, because I wanted to do it, because I felt like I could do it. And my life was screwed up. My life was thoroughly screwed. It wasn't until like I became I ain't say I really became willing. Just drugs and alcohol had beat me down so bad, man.
Right.
Until like, I just knew that I couldn't make no good decisions for myself. So I thought, I didn't really think other people could too, but I figured, right, I would stand a better chance, right, if I listen to them, so then I could blame my life on you. I say, hey man, I went to the meetings, man, I listened to John, and that's why my life is screwed up. Right. Don't listen to John.
You've heard a lot of great stuff so far, and a lot of it has been brutally honest. Addiction, jails, most of his adult life, and now he's turned it around through the 12-step program. And some of the key points Charles has said is he helps other people. He works the program. He does the steps. And he has a sponsor. All these are fundamental things that you do in the 12-step program. You give back. You have a sponsor. So many things Charles does, and he's happy. It can work. Charles has helped himself first and foremost. He keeps it simple, and he helps other people. He gives back. The 12-step program really does work if you work it. And I want to talk about some current events. We just heard recently in the news, there's drugs and alcohol addiction, and there's other addictions. We have a product that we sell. We identify 10 of life's addictions: sex addiction, procrastination addiction, which is huge. Criminal addiction, gambling addiction. But a couple current events in the news really highlight a certain addiction, sex addiction. Arnold Schwarzenegger, the governor, the two-term governor of California, just came out recently. They separated. He's had a love child with somebody. I mean, here's a case of a man that's got a beautiful family, a beautiful career, and he's got this love child with supposedly a person that's in his employed in his household, and there's other allegations. So we're talking about how addiction destroys lives, and not only the lives of the person, but all around you. It could be drugs, it could be alcohol, or it could be just a sex addiction that really is devastating. And it's all over the news now. The other one is Dominique Strauss-Kahn, who's the head of the IMF, who is in jail for, allegedly abusing, raping a hotel employee. And again, sex, and it crosses over into criminal. This guy's could have been the next president of France. Who knows? That's what they say. And now he's sitting in New York jail. So, addiction, whether it's sexual love, and Charles talked about, I've been in jail. And a lot of people go, oh my God, jail. But it's so true. You could be the next president of France, possibly, and be sitting in jail because of your addiction. And in this case, it's not a drug addiction. It's not an alcohol addiction. It's a sex addiction. And a criminal addiction. There's a pattern, a certain pattern. And you know a lot about criminal addiction. I guess we all do in a certain way. Talk to us a little bit about that, Charles.
Well, I go to like a whole lot of institutions, right? And I speak to people, and a lot of times when I go to people, right, they got good insurance, good education and all that nigga stuff. And I tell them my story, and they probably be sitting back there saying, yeah, well, he not like this guy from the ghetto, he rob, he steal,
Right.
I don't do none of that stuff. And and I laugh at him, and I tell him, oh man, you just another bozo on the bus, and a lot of them get indignant, but there ain't no bozo. And I say, you really a bozo, you really the bozo,
right?
But like the thing is, man, I think that's the most fascinating thing about addiction that you learn, is that we just alike. It don't make no difference, man, whether you from Short Hill or Blueberry Hill, if you drinking drugs, you understand, you probably got the same thing that I got. And if you're going to stay clean and sober, you're going to have to do the same thing. And it's the same thing with sex addiction. That runs clear across the board. If you're going to get clean and sober, right, you're going to have to do what I do. But most importantly, right, you're going to have to become willing and open-minded. If you're not willing and open-minded, ain't nothing happening. We ain't going nowhere.
Right.
Until you sit down, you say, okay, you understand, maybe I am wrong. And sometimes, man, it's more difficult for like educated people, right, to really become willing and open-minded, because they think that with all of their education and stuff, this is, I got all these degrees and so on and so on, but you can't stop drinking. And if you can't stop drinking, or you can't stop doing whatever it is, you understand, that hurts you and hurts somebody else, then you got a problem.
And Charles, you're just not saying this. You worked with people. You sponsored people, I'm guessing, I don't know, that had, a lot of education and that just didn't get it, right?
Oh, man. That's the amazing thing about this recovery for me, because like a lot of my sponsees, right? A lot of my sponsees ain't worried about got to worry about you losing a house on the beach, none of that stuff, And I've been kicking cans all my life, But I'm their sponsor, and and a lot of them, and a lot of people that I've met in the program, drinking and drugging is only one symptom. It's only one symptom. There's a whole lot of other stuff that goes along with it. And like you said, sex addiction, the criminal aspect. Some people just can't stop.
Can't stop.
They can't stop gambling. They can't stop hoarding stuff up. And all that's all a part of the disease. And the baffling and cutting part about the disease is that it affects everybody. There's no particular race, creed, color, lifestyle or whatever, man. It's clear across the board.
Right.
And when you come in, these rooms, when you come into the recovery room, what you find out, right, is that everybody come in there thinking that they're so different and unique, and that's the most typical start in the world, So like if you one of them people sitting down there talking about how different you are,
So in reality, we're not so much different. We're very much alike as far as.
We are. I told you before, right? I didn't say this, right? But like when I was young, right? I grew up in Greenville, Mississippi, right? And and still significant things happened to me in Greenville, Mississippi, right? It was like during the Jim Crow years, and like a lot of people don't know about Jim Crow, but that's
a lot of years ago.
Yeah, that's where like the white folks go in the nice part of the restaurant, right? And the black folks had to go around in the back, and it's usually garbage and everything, and where they got to get their food at. But anyway, I grew up in this era, and what happened to me is two things. I got molested. you know, and I got molested by a white guy when I was young, right? And my mother died as a result of racial prejudice, right? She was black, and the black doctor was in town, you know, so they just let my mother die. And like I said, I come from a real religious family, right? So seemed like nobody in the family was like mad about it except for me. But like during that time, you know, I can understand it because black folks was like really scared of white folks, you know. They didn't know, you know, they would come there, you know, they would do some dastardly stuff to you. So you know, yeah, I understand that now. You know, I didn't understand that when I was a kid. But anyway, right, the reason why, like I say that, right, because like that painted my whole perception about life.
Those are two big things, yeah.
Yeah, it was like my reaction to that. You know, and like if you ask guys that grow up to me, you know, they say, "Oh, C," they call me C. "Oh, C, good guy." And he said, "Yeah, but you got to watch out for him. He's violent and he don't like white folks." But,
right. And that was very true, right?
Yeah. But you see, the thing about that is, right, they don't know what I just told you.
Right.
As a matter of fact, you know what I'm saying? If they look now they know. You
Yeah.
know, they probably say, "Oh, that's why he was like that." Because like I really wasn't, you know, I really wasn't.
So how did you let that go? How did you overcome that?
It was in these rooms. It was in these rooms actually, right? What happened is, right, I got sober in a place called Baskin Ridge, New Jersey. And I used to always tell people when I went back home, I said, "Where you at?" I said, "Baskin Ridge." They said, "Where's that?" I was from Newark. They said, "Where's that?" I said, "Oh, it's out west." I said, "Well, who out there?" Oh, I said, "Me and a bunch of white folks."
Right.
And it was, man. I would go to meetings, man, you know, and it'd be 100 people there. I'd be the only black guy there.
But I'm guessing at first you had this animosity.
Yeah, I didn't trust them. Right? And, you know, my thought was at first, right, was that, yeah, well, you know, they don't really like me, you know, they really just using me like as really like the little token Negro, you know, "Oh, we helped the little Negro kid out, you know, all this stuff." They didn't really like me. But what I found out is, right, you know, those people, you know, are responsible for me being down here.
Is that right?
Those people are the ones, you understand, that when I went out and I relapsed, right, they came and found me. I didn't go back there and tell. They came and found what was happening with me, right? And they got me, and I got me a bus ticket and paid for my first month in a halfway house down here in Florida. And that's how I got to Florida. They told me I was going to Boca Raton. I didn't know what's that Boca Raton? You know? They said, "Well, it sounded just as good as any place." I said, "Okay."
Yeah. You know, Charles is really talking about some devastating stuff that happened to him in life, and it happens to a lot of us. It really happens to a lot of us, and a lot of this stuff, you know, we use as a catalyst to start our addiction. But he's really through the program, you know, through the help of others, through helping other people, has overcome this. And now lives a great life. He helps a lot of people. And you're in sunny South Florida.
That's right. And I love every minute of it. And the good thing about that, right, I don't care nothing about whether you white, black, blue, or green. You know, all you got to do is just breathe, and we are all right.
That's great. Charles, I want to give a plug to our one of our products that we sell. It's called Life Addictions Recovery Program. And you're looking at it here. It's an MP3 player that's already downloaded with audio. So we have one specifically for drugs, specifically for alcohol, criminal addiction, procrastination addiction, sex and love, spending, gambling, and food addiction. This really helps keep you focused on your recovery. You know, it really is a willingness. If you have a willingness, if you're sick and tired of suffering, from, I don't care what addiction you have. It could be a sex and love addiction. Could be a criminal addiction. You know, you can procrastinate until your world becomes insurmountable. You want to stop procrastinating. You want to stop using drugs. You want to stop spending to where you're bouncing checks. Buy this product if you have a loved one, if you're watching, if you're a family member. If you need it, buy it for yourself. If you're a loved one of somebody that needs it, buy it for them. It's under $100. You get a 4-page laminated guide. You get a audio recovery program that's already downloaded. It comes with headphones, a charger. Charles, what do you think about this?
I think it's pretty good. You know, I listen to it sometimes, and And it reminds especially like if I'm riding in my truck or something like that, right? I listen to a lot of recovery stuff, and it mainly reminds me of what I'm doing on a day-to-day basis because, like, see, I can forget this here a lot of times.
Right. Easy to forget.
Yeah, it's easy to forget.
Easy to forget,
and that's one of the reasons why, like, I'm so steeped into recovery.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why.
You've got to keep it in front of you, and if you want the product, call 717-991-4755. And Charles, thank you so much for being a guest. Thank you so much, and thank you, viewers.